We begin with those wildfires that are threatening several regions right across Western Canada today. Thousands of residents in Fort Nelson, British Columbia, have been under a mandatory evacuation order since Friday. The Parker Lake wildfire is pushing closer to the town in northeastern British Columbia, doubling in size over the weekend. Fort Nelson is located near BC's border with Yukon, about 550 kilometers north of Prince George. Sarah Galashan has been tracking all the developing news on this front today. Sarah, good evening to you. What is the latest?
Oh, Travis, the wind, we understand, which was predicted to pick up just outside of Fort Nelson, according to the mayor who spoke to our colleagues at Power and Politics just last half hour ago, said that that wind has started to do so. Rob Fraser saying the wind is right now blowing from the northwest. It is still, by his calculation, about 1.5 kilometers outside of the city limits. Earlier, we had heard it was about 2.5 kilometers. I mean, that's a small distance to say it has moved or it hasn't, but that was what we had heard from the wildfire service. Those who are from the area are going to be very concerned, though, about any kind of movement of that wildfire, and especially any movement of the wind. What we heard from the mayor is that right now, as I say, it's blowing from the northwest. If that should change, he said that that's a matter of extreme concern for those who are there and working to protect Fort Nelson. For structural protection is really their priority. They're, for the next 48 hours, very concerned about that wind, which is expected to be a sustained wind event. This is a community where really there is one road in, one road out, and that's the Alaska Highway. And the particular challenge right now, as you were saying, is the Park Lake wildfire. The mayor talked about how that wildfire started on Friday and the challenges it has presented to them. But take a listen to a little bit of that interview.
You know, we'll be able to analyze this after the fact to see if we could do more with respect to some of the holdover fires that were here all winter. But this is not a holdover fire. I mean, this was something that nobody could predict. We had a wind event. You know, we suspect that a tree fell over onto a power line, caught on fire, fell on the ground, and then because the wind was blowing so hard, that this fire just got out of anybody's control.
Now, what he means by a holdover wildfire are wildfires that are from the 2023 wildfire season. They were not fully put out. They burned so deep into the dry ground that, as was predicted, and as what we have seen happen here, a couple, more of a distance away from Fort Nelson, actually reignited earlier this month. Now, they are not the immediate threat here, but what they could do potentially is pull away resources. But those resources, we understand from BC Wildfire and from the mayor, now are all focused on structural protection of this community, remote community of Fort Nelson. What the mayor said is that what they have is what they have. Hopefully it is what they need. But by the time, Travis, they were to get any more equipment up there to try and help with this particular situation, he believes by then it'll be too late and it'll be over.
So hopefully they have what they need tonight. Yeah. Okay, so Sarah, you know, there's an extraordinary number of people who have been ordered to evacuate their homes. Where have they gone? What can you tell us on that front?
Yeah, they've gone to a few different places, and it's an extraordinary number. It's almost 5,000 when you consider you're talking about the town of Fort Nelson, you're talking about some other neighboring areas. Some of them are very rural, remote properties, but the number of 5,000 properties to be ordered evacuated by May 13th. This is so early on in the wildfire service that when asked at the earlier press conference today, the wildfire service, the government didn't have an answer as to whether we've seen this many evacuees so early on. Where they have gone from Fort Nelson, Fort St. John, some maybe to Dawson's Creek, but these are also small communities filling up pretty quickly. We understand there's a lot of frustration. Some have had to go the distance of Prince George, which is considerable to when you just look at a map. We're talking about hours and hours and hours spent on the road trying to find an available hotel. Now, not everyone has left Fort Nelson. There are, we understand, just under 100 people, that's by the mayor's count and from forestry officials, who have said that they won't leave. They are being urged to do so, but Ian Langstaff is one resident who's from Fort Nelson. He's still there. He's trying to protect his property and others and providing updates to those who've left who are reaching out to him online. And here's a little of what he's had to say.
We're going to do our best to protect our own house today. Go to continue to reinforce the lines that we made yesterday.
So right now, Travis, it is all about the wind, which way it is blowing and for how much longer. And as I say, what we heard earlier today is that it was expected to start early this afternoon. It is now 4 o'clock BC time. So the number of hours likely that they have been seeing some wind, in which direction it's blowing is going to be key. And likely based on that wind, the fact it's supposed to go for the next 48 hours, this could be a pretty long night ahead for those who are in the Fort Nelson area trying to protect the buildings there.
Yeah, and certainly we want to keep folks updated, so we're going to check in with Sarah throughout the show. That is the CBC Sarah Galashan in Coquitlam, British Columbia, starting us off tonight. Well, my next guest has lived in Fort Nelson for 5 years and says this is something that he has never seen before. Lloyd Galland is a Fort Nelson resident who evacuated last night. He joins us now from Fort St. John. Lloyd, thank you. Good to see you under these conditions. I appreciate you being here on Canada Tonight. I understand that you and your family, including your pets, are currently in a hotel in Fort St. John. Tell me how everyone's doing.
Everyone's doing great. I have to give a shout out to the province of British Columbia because they have really handled this in a very professional manner. When we hit Fort St. John, we went to the ESS Center, which is where everyone goes. And we were given a voucher for a hotel room right away. And we took that and got settled into our hotel. The hotel takes pets, and the hotel has increased its offerings for people that are evacuated. Their normal condition is that they provide a continental breakfast, but right now they're providing meals all day long. And they're not charging for laundry services. Everyone in Fort St. John has just been fantastic.
Well, that is really good to hear that you are, there right now and comfortable. But yesterday, I understand that you actually didn't want to leave Fort Nelson, but you decided to leave last night. What made you change your mind?
Well, mainly the reports that were coming in that the fire was surrounding Fort Nelson on 3 sides, and that the wind was expected to pick up overnight and during today. And with the fire so close already, it really didn't make sense to us to try to stick it out. In the end, our house is insured, our contents are insured, and if we lose it, we lose it. But I'm not going to put my family at risk just to try to stay a little longer.
How much were you able to grab before you actually had to leave? And tell me what that journey was like and how far where you are right now is from Fort Nelson.
Right now we're in Fort St. John, which is 400 kilometers south of Fort Nelson. And we were able to grab a bunch of food, comfort items like blankets and things like that, and things that the dog and the cat would need. And we just packed it all together in our truck and headed south. Now, one benefit of being Johnny-come-lately like we were is that there was no traffic left on the road. When everybody else was evacuating, there was a long, slow line of traffic going to Fort St. John, and it took a long time, longer than usual, for people to get there. But by the time we got around to leaving, it was just a straight shot south. The roads were dry, sunny, and it was a great trip.
How long are you prepared to hunker down and stay there? And have you been given any indication in terms of when you might be able to return home?
No indication of that. The fire control people don't know really. So they're not able to pass on any encouraging information at this point. But I'll tell you, we will be overjoyed when they sound the all clear and say we can go back.
Absolutely, as you know, everyone else that are residents of Fort Nelson will be as well. Lloyd, the best to you and your family during this very difficult time. That is Lloyd Galland, who is a resident of Fort Nelson, who evacuated the town last night due to the wildfire.